Hello, Shadarek here today with a video going over Puzzling Cartel Chips, also referred to as Dinars, as those are being released today, May 13th, at least on the North American servers. They'll be coming out in the near future for other servers as well. And just to clear up any confusion, since there's a bit of weird thing with this, while these are Puzzling Cartel Chips, the reason people call them Dinars is when they first came around, they were called Dinars back in Shadowlands. We then saw them again as the Bullion system in Dragonflight, and now Puzzling Cartel Chip, but people still call them Dinars. So, for these Puzzling Cartel Chips, the information that's important here is there is 3 total that you will receive, and that is May 13th, which is the day that I'm recording this video, 3 weeks later on June 3rd, and 3 weeks after that on June 24th, when those will become available. With these, you can buy rare raid items or Mythic Plus trinkets. For raid items, you must kill a boss on Mythic to buy the Myth track. Otherwise, if you purchase an item, it will be Hero track. And as far as we are aware, this will not upgrade if you do kill a Mythic boss after buying the Hero track version. So that is something to keep in mind if you are progressing. As for Mythic Plus items, you must time all keys on 12 Plus to purchase, and these are only Mythic Track and Plus trinkets. Now, the thing to keep in mind for this system is this is a catch-up mechanic and supposed to be considered bad luck protection. So the goal of this isn't that you're able to simply buy all the BIS items that you would like to have. It's that if you are doing the content that drops these items and you don't have them this far into the tier, and as we continue on 3 and 6 weeks down the road, you'll be able to purchase one. Now, as for what Havoc will run. For Havoc on Jaster's Diamond, this is basically the biggest upgrade that you can get. As you can see, a Mythic one is looking to be about 1.7%, and a Heroic one is 0.9%. Now, this is all simmed on my character, and I simmed this using a Heroic track Signet and Heroic track Sephorium Pacemaker. So all sims are with that in mind, and my offhand weapon is a 675 Chainblade. So these sims will vary based on your character, other stats, and there may be stat optimizations to be made. In my case, I did buy the BOE Crit Mastery neck from the raid, and that's going to make Jasters a bigger upgrade for me than most people. But Jasters will always be your biggest upgrade, and if you have access to it on Mythic and you don't currently have Jasters, that's always going to be your first buy. If you do not and will not gain access to it on Mythic, I still recommend buying it on Heroic Track. At 0.9%, that's a really large upgrade, and it does give another 7 to 8k DPS out on the stats it'll give to your teammates, and that is not accounted for in the sim. So it's even higher value than it sims when it comes to like group contribution. Next is Capo's Molten Knuckles. This is dropped by Mugsy. Again, Myth Track, that is BIS to have one of these. Both in cleave and in single target, it is good. A heroic one is not fully worth running. It can be better than your offhand, but you have to sim. But really, this is something that you would spend a dinar on if you are getting it on Mythic Track only. And next we have trinkets. For these, we have 2 Mythic Plus trinkets, Sephorium Pacemaker, which is typically BIS in all content and you will not replace. There's Signet of the Priory, which is decent, but kind of like a worse version of House of Cards. The nice thing to Signet of the Priory is you can line that up to your Metamorphosis, whereas House of Cards is used on a 1.5 minute cooldown, and you have to desync it from your cooldowns and get more uses out of it for it to be worth using. So, looking at all these, I have a priority list that has been made. The priority here is simply Jaster's Diamond is the first that you're going to get. Whether it's Myth or Hero Track, no matter what, you're just going to be getting a Jaster's Diamond. If you have available Mythic Track option from Mugsy, you will want to buy Capo's Molten Knuckles as your second option. Again, this is only really a big upgrade if it is on Mythic Track, and if it's not, then I'd skip down the list and go for something that you don't have further down. Third is Sephorium Pacemaker. Now, Pacemaker, as I mentioned, this is bis and all content, and if you don't already have one on Mythic Track, it is a good thing to purchase as this is fully based on Vault RNG to get this. So if you don't have it, that's always going to be a great purchase. From there, we do have some backup options. Now, House of Cards, if you want to use it and want to purchase it sooner, that is an option that you can have. Again, you do need to kill One Armed Bandit on Mythic to have access to House of Cards, but it is a good choice, and it can be one of your first three as well. But if you don't have access to House of Cards on Mythic Track, I would never purchase it. A Mythic Signet of the Priory is both easier to use and going to perform better than a Hero Track House of Cards. So skip House of Cards if you don't have it on Myth Track and only buy Signet of the Priory, which is the next option, and that is simply just a House of Cards replacement. I want to make one note on these, and that is with House of Cards, it is, again, a 1.5 minute cooldown that you're using on cooldown, and you need to line some damage up into it. Whereas with Signet of the Priory, it's a 2-minute cooldown, so it'll always get used in your meta rotation, used a bit before your metamorphosis prior to the eye beam that comes before it. And Signet also lasts 5 seconds longer, so it's easier to get your burst damage into the Signet of the Priory window, and it's consistent when you'll be using it. Whereas with House of Cards, it will not be consistent, and if you want to get House of Cards and then you're going to just pair it up with your metamorphosis, at that point I would recommend that you play Signet. Signet will perform better than having a House of Cards that you hold for the 2-minute mark. So that's something to keep in mind because of the increased duration of Signet. If you're going to be using House of Cards that way, go for Signet of the Priory instead. And lastly, the last backup that I have listed is Eye of Kezan. Now, this is really just if you don't need anything else and you kind of get down to your last Dinar, then you can buy Mythic Eye of Kezan. However, Eye of Kazan's only really better if you're in combat for about 5 minutes compared to other trinkets. It takes a long time to stack up, and if you die or you drop combat for a period of time, you will lose your stacks. So there are some M plus dungeons that in highly coordinated groups you can get by with Eye of Kazan, and there's many where you can't, and it's not worth using anyways. But typically, we're only looking at really long raid fights, and with how much DPS we're gaining in this tier, this is really only looking like it will be useful on the last 3 or so bosses in the raid, especially in future weeks as we gain more and more DPS. So that's something to keep in mind, that you may not get much use of Vive Kazan even if you do have one, but it is an option. Really, that's all that I wanted to go over for this video, was the priority of what you would like to run and what you want to purchase with your dinars for Havoc Demon Hunter, and hopefully this helped. Everything else that's available to purchase honestly just isn't really worth it. If you're thinking any other trinkets that might be available, they're simply not good. There's not many options that you can really run this season. And same with very rare items, like, for example, the cloak off of Sprocketmonger. The effect isn't really useful on Havoc because we're already so mobile, and the stats aren't what we'd like either. So I'd stick to the list that I provided here of either the backup options or the main priority, but definitely make sure that you get that Jaster's Diamond as your first purchase, and from there, you can always just sim yourself and figure out what you want to buy with your other options. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate all the support. Have a great evening.